genre.
Come to think of it, maybe Leo's fiancé was the friends we made along the way. Welcome to Beyond Geek by Night, where we've been discussing each episode of the Geek by Night podcast. On today's show, we'll be discussing the 35th episode, Comic Cons. So make sure you Google Gibson's Kevin Eastman and Man Without Fear reference, I sure did, because we're about to go Beyond Geek by Night. I'm your host, Matt Bennett. And here is our awesome panel. I am joined, as always, by writer and creator Scott Carelli.
Hi.
Writer and executive producer Nick Jimenez.
Hello.
Director of Comic Cons and voice of Gwen Allen, Ray Ruzzo.
Hello.
And voice of Leo Dobbs, Billy McCartney.
Well, hi.
In this episode, Comic Cons, we witness the fallout of the revelation that Simon has been using an android body. His friends respond compassionately, and Simon is overjoyed to see that Victor has safely escaped his exile, which he spent with Atlas, who also makes it out. Not only that, Simon has made an android body for Victor. Leo Dobbs, who works in publicity, contacts the underdogs and informs them that they are expected at the McKinney City Comic Con, aka MC3. Frazzled and rushed after realizing they completely forgot about the con, the team makes their way to the convention center, where the Swift sisters and overachievers have also found themselves. As Leo shows the underdogs their new costumes, which are featured on the Geek by Night podcast thumbnail, as well as on t-shirts available at the Dueling Genre merch store, wink wink, Dr. Medina clashes with the mysterious David and Nathan Gershwin over their continued partnership. According to Leo, Swift Industries and Nostalgia Entertainment have merged, and they are announcing their new product, The Game. All groups converge around the main stage as the presentation begins, and as he is introduced, we learn that the mysterious David is in fact David Holt, Simon's dad.
Dun, dun, dun.
Who could have guessed?
Dun, dun, dun.
Who could have possibly have guessed on this very podcast?
So I was thinking about that too, and I was talking to Chelsea about it because I don't know. I'm the first time I'm going through these episodes is when they are released on Patreon. I try to wait until there's a finished product. So I did not know that it was Simon's dad, and it was just kind of like one little line that I used. But
A part of you knew.
Yeah.
Right, I knew inside. Yes, I felt it
Deep down.
So I want to talk about a theme that keeps coming up this season. Family. We met Max's mom a couple episodes ago. We have a lot of development between the Swift sisters, and now we have the reveal that the mysterious David is David Holt. What led to the decision to focus so much on family this season?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's just like a sort of hanging chad from ideas that we had for season 2 originally, because like season 1 was all about like, who are these people? And then we were going to be like, now in like season 2, our thought was, well, where did they come from? Like, now we know who they are, but where did they come from? Who made these people? Who was involved in their lives that made them the people that they are? And that was always the plan for when we were doing like a full blown season 2, rather than like what we're doing now, which is sort of like one big series finale.
When it wasn't the final season of the show.
Right.
That was kind of going to be season 2's modus operandi. We were going to have an episode where Gwen went to a high school reunion, for example. And so like one of the conversations was like, oh, Simon's dad.
Yeah.
What's his deal? And and he's also a carryover from the classic show.
Right.
But so yeah, like
but with a different name.
But with a very different name.
Yes.
Confusingly Henry, right?
No, Charles.
Charles, the manatee.
We named the manatee Charles.
Yes. Yeah, so kind of carryover from like, the stuff that still worked and still interested us.
Yeah.
And also, I think on a somewhat like, the show is sort of about these people experiencing that weird arc of your 20s and your 30s. And I think a part of that is kind of finding your family or finding out what family means to you.
And also reckoning with your family and realizing that they make a lot of mistakes because they're all just human, and coming to that conclusion of that. I think that's the journey of our 20s for a lot of people, is just realizing that our family is not perfect, and that maybe we're not in a normal family, and what is a normal family, and what does any of that look like, and therapy, and
Therapy, what?
and so
we see that all over, from Gretchen being like, well, where do I want my lines to be? Where do I want to put my fence down? Or Mindy or the Swift sisters, like Lorelai making the active choice of like, I want to be in my sister's life. I'm done doing this thing that we've been doing, even before all the crazy secret stuff, And so, I think in a lot of different ways, that's what all of the characters are kind of like reckoning with. One of my favorite moments in this whole episode is when it's Mindy and Gibbs and Jeff like chuckling over like an 8th grade joke.
Yes.
Like, your body's ready.
Yes, Victor's body's ready.
Yes.
Yes.
Your body is ready.
Because it's like one of the rare.
Oh, they are siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I want to see if anyone if anyone understands the joke of why David is named David.
No.
Because it's the Chipmunk's dad.
No!
Dave.
Where's Alvin and Theodore?
We talked about it for sure. Those are conversations that we had.
Billy, you almost played one of those characters.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
Yeah, because originally in season 2, when we were going to talk about like
their origins,
the family, he was going to have siblings, and one was going to be named Vin, and the other one was going to be named Theo, and you were going to play Theo, which is why your name is Leo. In the new show.
And Simon and Vin were going to have a very tumultuous relationship.
Yes.
Wow.
Cass was very excited about that. And then it kind of fell by the wayside. But
yeah,
that's incredible.
So it all grew out of a stupid Chipmunks joke. But yeah.
That's beautiful.
Alvin! Oh my God.
So, Billy, you have never been
Hi.
on Beyond with me.
I haven't. But here I am. It's the best. I'm very glad to be here.
My first question to everybody on the first time they're on here is, how did you get involved with Geek by Night?
Geek by Night. I think I submitted to write on season 1, and then I did write on season 1, which was very cool. I worked quite a bit on the Friends and Enemies episode with these people, which is very cool.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Remember?
God.
This is
Way
the
back
full
in the
Friends
day.
and Enemies gang.
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
We're all here.
And I hadn't thought about writing that in a while, but just literally just sitting here right as we started, I remembered, if I remember correctly, I was going to do one last pass at it before I sent it to Scott and Nick, and I couldn't get the file to like open in a script writing program. So I printed out like 100 and something pages, and I retyped the whole thing in like one manic session, making edits as I went. And that was like the last time I worked on it. And I was just like, there you go. And then a few months later, it existed, which was very cool. And then season 2, this was, I was very lucky that Nick and Scott just asked me to play this role, sight unseen. And it's been a blast. I'm obsessed with Leo. I love playing him. It was a lot of fun. This episode especially.
I adore you. Like, listening to your takes is one of like the great joys of directing this show.
Go ahead.
We made the character for you. It wasn't
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah, it was not that we gave you the part sight unseen. It's that we built the part for you. Because
I knew that. It felt weird to say it. I love it.
Yeah. We wrote the part for you because I even pitched it to you very early on, where I was like,
yes.
"Hey, you're gonna have a part on this show." And what did I say? It was oh man, what was the combination of characters?
Like Edna Mode.
Yes.
And I can't remember
Edna Mode and
was
the guy who played Timon.
It's about Billy Eichner.
Billy Eichner.
Yes.
Billy
Okay,
Eichner
yes.
meets
specifically Parks and Rec Billy Eichner.
It also was that. It was you're going to play this, which was great. It wasn't an offer. It was no, I'm kidding.
It was a demand.
But it was But no, immediately I think just the first episode of season 2 where you meet him, I was like, "Oh, this I like. This I'm here for." Have any of you who've directed episodes listened past where I have no more lines? on the files I sent you.
Yes, but I don't remember what you're referring to.
On every single episode, and I don't know why I started doing this, I would say, thank you so much. I'm Billy McCartney. You've been listening to radio, whatever. And then I play a song like I'm a DJ exiting at the end. So if you have the files, they're all there. I don't know why I started doing it, but I think I've done it for every single one so far.
I have not had the honor of hearing that because I haven't directed an episode yet.
Ooh, I'll make you something stupid. It'll be good.
Okay, great.
Are you gonna direct an episode this season?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not wanting to create a bottleneck situation. So I'm trying not to direct anything until toward the end. Because then at that point it's like, then it's just all me and I could just, get the work done, but I don't want anybody waiting on me. So that's why I'm waiting until
it's all part of the careful production plan that's so far has been going pretty well.
Yeah, so far.
Billy, had you done voice acting before, or is this the first time you've done something like this?
Look at me thinking like it's no, actually I don't think, because I haven't. Yeah, this has kind of been the first foray. You know what? This is it. This is why it's been such a great opportunity, because legit, I have learned so much just in these few episodes I've been in, just about recording and audio quality. And I only screwed up once where the takes were bad. All the other ones have been good. But yeah, I've just so much. And then about performance too. My favorite thing to do is listen to what takes get picked. Because I try to do a lot of different things. I was very happy in this episode that you chose the take. I was shocked you did it. The take where I whispered Kevin when I was talking about the intern.
I loved it. It was great.
It was, his name, Kevin. And that's my favorite, because when I did that, I was like, this will just be to make them laugh. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just for fun. I've put a couple good takes in here. We'll throw this one in. And I just love to see that, how it comes together and what other people pick apart from what I send out.
I don't know why, but I saw like a hand gesture that went with it, and that's why I took it.
Our directors, like, almost always, if there's a weird take, that's the one that's going in. Like, almost always.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I can tell.
Ray, you said you love directing Billy. What was the most fun scene to direct in this episode?
Oh my god. The scene with Max and Joel and Lorelai on the phone. Something about that scene was it was so different from the rest of the episode that it was just like such a delight, because a lot of these scenes are very character heavy. I have like 10 different tracks open. Because, like, what was it? The one where they're on the convention floor? There's no breaks in it. It's just, like, one conversation moving into another. And so that was a lot. And then this really rather tight scene with a good comedic punch at the beginning and the good comedic punch at the end with the "Can I take a break?" I don't know. That was it was really fun.
From a writing perspective, Scott and Nick, is there any special, challenges or interest with writing an episode where all these characters are together? I mean, all these scenes have 10 people. Everybody's really, converging in the same physical space. Is it different to write scenes where everyone's participating, or?
I kind of have what I think of as my mom and Home Alone moments, where I'll get to the end of a scene and be like, this is a great scene. There's some really good stuff in here. Victor! I forgot Victor! And then I have to go back and realize that he hasn't said anything in 30 pages.
He's just standing there silently in the scene.
And you know what? Yeah. I feel like he would just this is my lot in life. This is my lot in life to be forgotten.
So that's kind of yeah, definitely. And so that's kind of the muscle that you have to get into, is asking yourself, especially in these two episodes, is like, okay, who's there? What do they want? What's keeping? And that's kind of the earliest conversations that the three of us had about these episodes, is now that, especially the overachievers, now that they're out of prison, the Supermax, what's keeping them together? what's stopping Madison from just being like, all right, bye, Audi 5000, you know? And so like, that's kind of the challenge. And even with the underdogs is always making sure that you're honoring each of the characters and not forgetting what they're fighting for besides the service of the plot you're trying to get through, you know?
Ray, you have been working on Geek by Night for a very long time. And there's only a couple episodes left. How do you feel about the show coming to an end?
It's going to be weird because Geek by Night has been a part of my life since I was in college. And I'm past my 10-year reunion at this point. And I have changed so much as a person. I feel like I have consistently been more queer than Gwen the entire time, because in the original version of the show, I was out as like gay, bi, I don't know what the hell I was, but she was straight and I was gay. And by the time this iteration came around, Gwen is now a queer woman, and I'm like, hi, I'm non-binary. I'm not even a girl anymore. So it's just been really fun, and I've been really attached to Gwen as a character. I feel for her so much, but I am glad that the show is going to have like a real ending, because the first time it just kind of got like left dangling there because so many things happened, and just to have like a real solid bow on the end of Geek by Night in my life, I think will be nice.
Yeah. So I want to shift gears to something a little more fun. I want to talk about conventions. You know, this is a show that is very celebratory of geek culture and, you know, passion projects and things like that. So I wanted to go around the room and ask what everybody's experience with conventions are, or maybe what was your favorite convention that you've been to? I used to go to G-Fest a lot, the Godzilla convention, and I went every year for 6 or 7 years, like 18 to G-Fest 17 or 18 to 22, and those are always so great because it's everybody who's a Godzilla fan has been a Godzilla fan since they were like 5, and it's just been a part of their life forever. So it's really great being around people like that it's just in their DNA. And it's just a very, very homey feeling to be around a lot of people like that. So I miss G-Fest. And hopefully I can start going back.
Eventually.
Yeah. Whenever.
Whenever. Well, I was saying
somewhere.
I know. I was saying earlier that in the last 13 years, not counting this year because COVID nonsense, I have only missed Dragon Con once. So cool. I have been at least a dozen times. And it really is kind of like the high point of my year. It is Halloween and Christmas and my birthday all rolled into one. And, you know, I started with the Buffy fandom and I moved into the Battlestar Galactica fandom. And then I moved into the comics fandom, and I can still keep going, and there's still people there, and there's still like, just because of the general breadth of that con and how it covers pretty much everything you could possibly think of. Of course, it gets to be like, you know, 80,000 people in several buildings, and it's very crowded and loud, and I've had to learn how to manage myself so that I don't get irritated and yell at everyone I'm staying with. But it's like, I don't know, it's just, you meet the people you see online and you talk to online all year round, and you all come together and get this one beautiful, crazy, slightly drunk weekend together. Slightly drunk. What am I saying? It's Dragon Con. Everyone's toasted all weekend. It's the party con. Everyone knows it.
Well, the only like proper... I've never been to a proper Comic-Con, which is kind of a bummer, especially now that I've been in LA for a few years. But I have been to RuPaul's Drag Con twice. Yes. And it was a blast and a half. It was a treat. It's just 3 days at the LA Convention Center. The first time I went was the first time they moved into the really big space. And it's just not only like contestants from the show and like celebrities who've been on it, all the drag queens, but also just like a ton of queer artists and entertainers selling their stuff. A lot of people who have like really cool online shops are there, and they have booths, and you can buy all their queer artwork and all that cool stuff. And then they have workshops. Well, not workshops. Actually, no, they do. That's a lie. I don't do drag, so I didn't go to any like wig workshops, but those exist.
That's really cool.
But it's then there's just like panels, and I've done a lot of cool things. I bumped into Nicole Byer one year, bought a lot of weird artwork, which is always a treat. That's what you always want in the apartment. My favorite thing is in my living room, our main centerpiece is this giant map of Australia with two drag queens like cartoon heads on it. And it says the Kangaroo Girls. And that was because when I went to DragCon, I bumped into the night before this Australian drag queen named, it's the best name ever, Karen from Finance. And at DragCon, she was like, hey, me and Art Simone here, we have to go back to Australia. And this sign was really expensive and we don't want to throw it away. Do you know anyone who would like it? And I was like, I would like it. And they signed it for us and we took it home. And now it's like the living room art piece is our RuPaul's DragCon Australian drag queen.
That's great.
Booth art.
That's beautiful.
Scott, what about you?
Yeah, I've mostly done like Midwest conventions. I haven't been to any since I've come out here. Mostly ones in Chicago. I've been to a few in Florida, but I think the first convention I ever went to was a Star Trek convention with my dad when I was a little kid.
That's so cool.
And I fell asleep during a panel that we were in the front row for with the whole cast of the original series. And I fell asleep and I have no memory of it, but I know that it happened because, so yeah, I mean, I've been to a bunch of, cons. My favorite one that I've ever been to was probably, a Wizard World convention in 2000, either 6 or 7. I think 7. Yeah. When did Dark Knight come out? Did it come out in 07 or 08?
It was 08.
8?
08.
Okay. So it would have been 07. They had a Dark Knight panel at this Chicago Comic Convention, Wizard World Chicago. And we stayed, like me and my friends all went, and we got in line first thing in the morning for the panel. And we like did shifts where like, you know, there'd be 2 of us in line while the other ones shopped or whatever. And then we would come back and so we were first in, and it was pretty small, the room. It wasn't like a big ballroom because it was like Chicago. It wasn't, you know, like San Diego or anything. It was a pretty small room. And they started moving us in, and they had us go all the way to the end, like at the wall. And we were like, but we were here all day. We want to sit in front of the stage where the people are going to be. That's why we're here. And, you know, the convention worker who is probably getting paid minimum wage or worse as a volunteer, you know, couldn't give less of a shit, and was like, no, you're going to go to the wall because that's what I was told to tell everyone to do and whatever. And then, the president of DC at the time had passed us a bunch of times in the hallway and came out and was like, no, they can sit wherever they want, which was like, really cool. And then we ended up being like front row for like the first footage of The Dark Knight anyone had ever seen. And it was interesting because there was stuff in the trailer that we watched, which we were only allowed to watch one time because everyone was like, one more time. And Nolan backstage was like, no more times. No, once. We got once. Because he's Christopher Nolan. And we got to see an alternate introduction to Two-Face, which was like in someone's office, not in a bar. It was like somebody came home to their office and he was like sitting in their office, like waiting for them to come in. And it was the same dialogue, but it was a completely different scene. And
cool.
that blew the roof off because no one even knew the Two-Face was going to be in the movie at this point. Everyone knew about the Joker and knew that he was playing Harvey Dent, but they didn't know that he was going to be Two-Face. And so this was like the first indication of that. So that was probably like that's my fondest like Comic-Con memory.
Cons are for,
doing
yeah.
that. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. This episode, writing this episode and the next episode, which is kind of like part 2 and also in a comic convention, was difficult for us to a certain extent because I kind of had to pick up the lack of experience that Nick had because Nick's never been to a convention before.
Was too busy smoking cigarettes and
Being cool.
being cool.
Yeah.
Making fun of the kids who went to the
You sure?
Yeah.
stealing their
My
lunch.
leather T-Birds jacket.
Yeah, so there's like any kind of like Comic-Con like inside baseball stuff in these 2 episodes all comes from me because Nick had no idea.
Sure, like all the great like Cosmo stuff of
Yeah,
like
the spiral pattern.
yeah.
No,
That cracks
I
me
actually
up.
I got that from someone that I knew about at a con. Like I used to work at a comic book shop, and one of the customers told me about the spiral method, and I was like, I don't think that makes any sense, but good on you. Sure. So I just used it for this.
And it would make sense to somebody like Cosmo who's been
Right.
there 30 years in a row. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So before we get to shout outs, does anyone have any other interesting like tidbits or facts about this episode?
Well, it was just the only thing I was thinking about that I didn't mention. Well, you were talking about how you like pitched the character to me way back when, and I listening to him now, he's definitely those things. But he's got right before I recorded the first episode, my boyfriend loves Airbender, and we rewatched The Legend of Korra, and he's like, there's so much of Varric in this character, and I can't get rid of it. I'm not mad about it at this point, but there's a whole lot of a love letter
So
to
obvious,
Varric, and well, God, what's his name? My brain just fried. The actor,
John
You
Michael
know.
Higgins.
Yeah.
yes,
John Michael Higgins. Yep.
who's so gosh darn funny. So that's all. That's what he's a blast to play. And thank you for letting
He's a
me play
blast to
him.
write.
Thanks. And my boyfriend, the astronaut, is definitely 100% a real person.
Are you sure?
For sure.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Mhm. I believe that you believe he's real. So I will kick off shout outs. As always, I like to end the show with this because a lot of people work on the show and only a couple of them got to join me today. So I have 2 double shout outs today. One of them is a shout out to Scott Tofty and Zach Luna as Joel Vickers and Max Carmichael for their scene. I could just listen to them all day. I was just cracking up. I love their dynamic. And also Nathan Gershwin and Dr. Medina, just like with Tofty's kind of like villainy piano theme underneath. And it was just really menacing and awesome. And, Billy's like, he just shook off the prison break and is off his game. And it was just, it was really cool. I love that scene.
That scene was like my favorite to write, I think, in this episode. That scene between them when Billy is getting a drink and Nathan steals it. And I think what I love about that scene so much is like, one, I loved writing it. They're both so swarmy and they're just like trying to out swarmy each other. And it's the best. But also like, Nick and Brian, they're doing such different things in their performances, but I think this is a testament also to Ray's direction, but it flowed so well. And there's interesting things about the way that Nick performs as Billy, where he puts in these little weird pauses here and there. And it's great for me in sound design, especially when he's supposed to be doing something, because I get to like put in sound effects where those pauses are, like he's like concentrating on something else. And so like when he's building his drink at the beginning and talking and making these awkward pauses, I'm punctuating the pauses with him like dropping ice in and whatever. And it adds to his performance and makes it all feel like a living, breathing person who is, making a drink angrily. And it's awesome. It works so well. So I love that.
I think Madison Powers is just so much fun in this episode. And I think Natalie is just doing such a great job. And I think flustered, overwhelmed, angry Madison is just like my favorite thing to listen to. And yeah, we're just so lucky to have her on the team.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Zach Luna. Really gave an amazing performance for this episode. So, yes.
100%. Every single line. Zach's the best.
It was gold.
I have been obsessed with Naomi since the beginning, and just the way she flies through her lines without making anything like it's crystal clear. The intention, she's so good, and she's got this energy that's so consistent, and I'm obsessed with it. And I know Scott talked about it too, but I really love Nick's performance. I know he's right here and he has to hear me talk about him in real time. But it's so good and it's so dynamic, and there's a harshness to Billy that I know isn't there in Nick, that I really, really like listening to. It's very cool.
Man, and the thing about Naomi that kills me too every time is that she is whatever the opposite of Lorelai is in real life. She is so chill and talks very slowly and specifically, and seems like she chooses what she's saying very carefully. Not anything like Lorelai. And then she plays Lorelai and she just becomes like a firecracker. And it's a testament to her acting, I think, is that Lorelai is so different from her personality wise that it's kind of insane. So yeah, definitely. I also I want to shout out Billy, because Billy, you're playing everybody's favorite character this season. Everyone really is talking about how much they love Leo, and I just want to get. I think that it's a testament to your acting. That the main scene that Leo is in this episode, we gave you so many words, so many
all the
words.
Costumes.
So many words, and you flew through it exactly how I pictured it in my head, and I was really amazed when I got back that scene from Ray, and I was like, God damn it, he just nailed this. It was so good.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh dear.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's really good because you bounce between moods within 3 sentence fragments. Leo will be in 3 different moods, and they all work perfectly. You really nailed this character.
Thank you. I've said it 8 times, but he's so much fun, and thank you.
It just sounds like you're having fun.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Oh yeah, I get so excited, especially this one when I was I think maybe you were oh, he's gonna have all this stuff to do, and I just was oh, look at these paragraphs. There's a few. There were a few where I just stumbled over myself, but yeah, I was very happy to have as much mouth running as I got. That was a blast. That whole scene was my favorite thing I've done on this season so far. The costume
that's
scene.
great.
That was great.
That's great.
I also want Time Lord Sheik. Sorry.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to Jay Malone, who plays Victor. I think he is really great in this episode. He was almost in this Beyond, but I think he'll be better suited for a later episode in the season. But I just think he's so good in this episode. Jay is just such a warm guy, and he puts that so easily into Victor, and all of the stuff that because we gave him a lot of heavy stuff to work through in that first scene that he's in, and it just he goes from having to forgive Simon to getting a robot body, and the sort of exuberance of that, and then also gets to crack some really dry jokes in the rest of the episode, and he's so good in this episode, and I'm excited for you guys to see what else he's got in store for later episodes. So
it was very interesting to hear you suggest that I should wait for Jay. I'm excited. There's some good Victor stuff coming up.
Oh yeah.
I'm just really excited for everyone to listen to the next episode.
Yeah,
our mid-season
it's
finale.
interesting. I'm glad you had the convention talk in this episode, because next episode we're gonna have so much to talk about.
So much.
that it's like this. It's gonna feel like there was no story in this episode when you hear the next episode. The next
That's the episode
is
that I lost my voice recording for.
yes.
Yeah. This week is very much like the calm before the storm, or sort of everyone's on the chessboard now for the first time.
It feels like that. Like things are kind of coming together, and
Writing.
We're glad that happened.
Writing the script to the next episode, and just to emotionally prepare everybody. Writing the script for the next episode, and then listening to the table reading of the next episode was the first time that I've ever been moved to tears working on this show.
Yeah, the table read for next week's episode was like a really special experience.
Yeah. Especially considering I would say 3/4 of the people involved in the table read didn't know what was coming, and they were discovering it as we went into the table read. And yeah, so people are in for it next week. It's a big episode. It's a big episode.
I'm really excited.
The long con.
All right. I want to say thank you again to all of my guests today, Scott, Nick, Ray, Billy, for joining me. And thank you to all of you, the fans, the underdogs, for listening today. If you would like to support the show, please join the Dueling Genre Patreon at duelinggenre.com/support. You'll also get access to classic Geek by Night episodes, scripts, and other behind-the-scenes materials, as well as bonus content from some of Dueling Genre's best shows. You can also tell your friends, families, and followers to subscribe to Geek by Night on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you're listening to this right now. Finally, if you like our show, please leave a positive rating for us on iTunes. And stay tuned for the next episode on December 13th, The Long Con, which will be our mid-season finale. Thank you so much for going beyond Geek by Night with us. Have a super day.